Welcome back, everybody, to the Eternal Tournament series. We're viewing round 5, cybeRRage versus NiHaoDylan. I'm your caster, Bairdrus. I'm here with my co-caster,
JayNite, and today we're going to look at a very exciting Rakano versus Rakano matchup.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the Rakano mirror here, but it is not quite an exact mirror. cybeRRage is bringing an interesting build.
Yeah, it has some Longhorn Sergeants. It's got some Navani Warsinger. Let's see how it works out. We'll go over the deck after this round, but let's just see what's happening right now.
Yeah, right now, NiHaoDylan establishing his second Oni Ronin. Dig that down. Looks like we've got a second torch by cybeRRage to follow up on both of them. NiHaoDylan's going to respond with the torch, so we've got lots of torches and Oni Ronins getting thrown down on the board.
Some of the best one drops in the game, just slapping around the field. Seems good.
Yeah. See Champion of Glory coming down here for NiHaoDylan.
Just as a quick draw right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if cybeRRage elects to go ahead and take this off the board, or if he's just going to establish two threats this turn. And
you like the two threats he's going for, yeah?
Yeah, I kind of like the two threats too. I mean, you don't really care if the 3-1 punches you once, as long as it's got nothing behind it.
Yeah, and we can see that Nihao has missed his power drop. He's not going to be able to get that champion to 3 health at any time soon. No,
unfortunately he's not. And also he is, like, even if he draws Sigil next turn, he's still another turn behind actually playing a card. He's got the double Warhammers and the plate, but
it's a little rough.
Yeah, it's a little rough right now. cybeRRage, considering how he wants to attack, I'm guessing he's going to put this down and... Ooh. Okay, yeah, elects to get the Paladin down. I kind of like that. I mean, getting the Warcries off the table. I guess you're not as worried about the 3-1 quick draw. It might become a problem, though, if these hammers come down.
Yeah, definitely. But the beatdown's coming down. The Warcry triggers are happening. There is that's a fire instead of a justice. Not quite what he wanted.
Yeah, not quite what he wanted. So he's still going to be short the influence requirement on plate. But it looks like, I mean, cybeRRage is getting a bunch of these Warcry triggers in, but he still has not found a unit. So we're going to see something massive come up.
Something massive, yeah. There's the Vanquish to answer that massive unit, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like right on time as we're saying it, he of course picks up the Vanquish.
Drawing a lot of power.
Yeah, drawing, just over flooding here.
And a bit of misplay there. He reveals that his other hand, card in hand, is the Sigil, but I guess it doesn't really matter. He would have played something by now.
Yeah, unfortunately, oh man. I mean, Nihao's at least got the gas to follow it up, and cybeRRage just top decking nothing but sigils. Yeah, a little frustration there.
Around. Yeah, unfortunately, just kind of top decking a lot of nothing at the moment.
Yeah,
whatever he pulls out will be big, but it'll immediately get killed by that Vanquish.
Yeah, I guess he's hoping at this point for probably like a weapon, but I mean, with the trade there, it's not even like he has something to put it on.
Yeah, so Dylan is ahead in the race and ahead in cards. There's the 11-11.
There's the 11-11 Rakano Outlaw. Immediately gets vanquished, of course, so...
unfortunately.
9 Warcry triggers going down the drain.
Oh, there it is. I mean, he's got the 4, and Cyber has nothing in his hand, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're in a very weirdly close race here, but now that he's found the other Justice Sigil, he's got the Endurance.
The Cyber's got that Longhorn Sergeant now. Maybe you can gain a little bit of life to race in a certain way.
It's going to be hard with the hammer coming down. I mean, not only the Warcry is making your next unit huge, but I mean, he's got quick draw. Like, he can't actually be blocked, and he's got Endurance.
The block. And there's Champion of Glory. Interesting. I wonder what he's going to do. Double block, I assume? Or
well, I mean, double block actually doesn't kill it since the quick draw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the quick draw goes off first, so he's definitely gonna kill at least one of the units.
I wonder if he's gonna try to trade or sit back, see if he draws lethal next turn. But that's the hammer.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard to get around the. I guess you're just looking. cybeRRage is probably looking for like a vanquish here. I mean, that's one of your only outs. It seems like is actually finding a way to get this unit off the board. I mean, you can chump block it for a little bit, but I mean, this turn we know the deforged plate's coming down, and this should be able to push it over.
Yeah, that will come on with the hour next turn, but he's dead this turn, unfortunately.
Well, 8. I think he actually would have gone to 1 health. Yeah, he would have been at 1 health, and he could have gone one more turn. So maybe you pick up a vanquish. Maybe it's worth playing to the out there. Probably not, though. I mean,
it was pretty one-sided there.
Yeah, decides to go ahead and call it a day. So we're gonna see some sideboarding here.
Yeah, we're gonna look at Dylan's deck. He was playing the more traditional Warcry, the Righteous Rakano deck that we're all familiar with.
Yeah.
So first off, we'll we have the pretty standard list of the 4 Finest Hour, 4 Oni Ronin, 4 Torch, 4 Inspire, all those very, very solid 1-drops. And then, of course, the suite of 2-drops with the Champion of Glory, Outlaw, and Paladin, the Vanquishes, the Swords, the Enforcers, Mites, 2 Righteous Fury, 2 Plate, and 2 Drake. All the elements are here of a standard Rakano deck that you'd see on the everyday ladder.
Yep, looks pretty bog standard. I mean, he's got the Righteous Furies included. Looks like he's opting to side in some Ruins here. So yeah, he's going for some of that attachment removal. Definitely going to be helpful in the mirror matchup like this, obviously, to get those big weapons like the plates off, the hammers, just any of that really nasty equipment that you're not trying to have to play around.
Yeah, definitely. And our stuff's aside is the protects. He could side those in to try and prevent his units from getting vanquished. But he could also, I'm assuming he might also throw in his additional vanquish from the sideboard as well, because of how big the units, especially with the equipment, can get.
Yeah, how many main deck Soulfire Drakes and Righteous Furies does he play?
That would be 2 Drakes and 2 Furies, and he has an additional one of each on his side.
Yeah, it looks like he elected not to side either of those in. Did side in a Furnace Mage, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
So we did at least see a Furnace Mage come in and a pair of Ruins, I believe.
All right. Well, we'll see how those work out for him this next. Definitely they went in his favor on the first game. And we're seeing a mulligan there from Cyber. He's gotten into a much better hand.
Yeah, he definitely mulliganed into a better hand. We've seen NiHaoDylan elect to actually keep a 4-power hand here with Torch Rakano, Outlaw. Draws into a Crown Watch Paladin, so that's good for him.
The second creature makes the hand a lot better. And of course, he is starting off with the double Diplomatic Seal, it seems, to make his mana have all the colors he needs.
Yeah, much better. Unfortunately, that Torch is going to be sitting in his hand for a little bit because cybeRRage's 2 units he's going to be dropping down here are going to be Silverwing Familiar and the Crown Watch Paladin, both of which have Aegis, so they're going to eat it.
Very sticky units, especially if he puts the Hammermine on the Familiar. That's going to be very difficult to race if Dylan does not draw a Vanquish to combination with the Torch to be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, just requiring 2 removal out of your opponent makes those Aegis units so deadly. And I mean, Crown Watch Paladin is just such a monster. Yeah. Just because it has that Aegis on it. I mean, and the Warcry, of course, is just like the icing on the cake, essentially.
Yeah, especially when you consider once you get them to 4 power, Double Torch doesn't get rid of it anymore. It makes the removal needed more specific as well.
Yeah, definitely. We see that Silverwing Familiar come down. Crown Watch Paladin down in response, but again, that Torch just kind of stranded in NiHaoDylan's hand. And here it comes. We get the big Hammer of Might on the flyer.
And that 3 Warcry on the top.
Yeah, 3 Warcry and the Lifesteal, too. I mean, Lifesteal makes this match very, very difficult for the other Rakano player.
Dylan has no lifelink here, unfortunately. He is not going to be able to race that bird at the current state. But it's Warcrying a lot right here.
Yeah, drops his own hammer, so he does push through a little bit of damage, but with the bird having a lifelink, or a lifesteal rather, he's just going to gain 4 of the 5 health back. I mean, only taking 1 incremental damage.
Yeah.
And now he's even got the blockers down. I mean, this looks like it's going to be a very quick closeout for cybeRRaGE. I'm not sure. Dylan needs to find something big here.
Yeah, I'm assuming Cyber's not even going to block here if Dylan does decide to attack. Just Cyber is purely the beatdown right now, and no reason to let up.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he's even got like another 2-drop Crown Watch Paladin that's a 5/5 to reload on.
Yeah. Of course, all he needs is the bird right now.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, he's just plunking away with the bird, 4 damage, 8 life swing a turn, and Dylan's just unfortunately top decking sigils and has this Torch just stranded in his hand.
There's another flyer for Dylan, for Cyber. He's way up in the air right now.
Yeah, and actually the Valkyrie Enforcer on the Crown Watch Paladin makes his Vanquish usable if he elects to, which I'm assuming he will. He might just be able to push through lethal this turn here. Yeah.
There's the concede. Very, very strong draw from Cyber, being able to get that massive lifelinker, invalidating all the ground units of Dylan right there.
Yeah, very quick. Unfortunately, didn't get to see... man, did he pull the Navani's out? I
he
just want to
hasn't
see
played a
those
Navani
big
yet.
units.
I really want to see that Navani yet.
Yeah, I want to see the
So,
Navani and the Hammer.
yeah.
Like he set the deck up for it, but we are one game apiece at least. So it will come down to this final matchup. And unfortunately, with most of the Rakano mirrors, it's really just about that opening and which cards you have. And right there, that match was it was a good showcase for it. I mean, we saw not being able to answer the Crown Watch Paladin.
All right, so let's see here. Dylan has a pretty standard draw. Let's see if he keeps it. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And with the Cyber's draw, he redraws. He doesn't have any red in that hand. It's understandable.
Yeah, it draws into a much better hand for Cyber. It's interesting that NiHaoDylan keeps electing to keep these 4-power hands. I'm wondering if that's going to come back to bite him as
we'll have to see if he gets punished.
Yeah, I mean, if he floods like he did last game, then unfortunately, like, he's only going to have 3 or 4 cards. And yeah, we see a sigil off the top. That might be a bad sign.
Yeah. Oh, it seems a little nasty.
Yeah, cybeRRage picking up his sigil right when he needs to.
Really
have the 3rd sigil.
And it also tells him exactly what color he needs to get out of it.
Yep, gets the double down for the Valkyrie Enforcer. So he'll be able to silence the first thing coming down. So if he wants to, he can silence this Crown Watch Paladin. Not sure he's going to.
It makes sense because you can get the Aegis off of it and then torch it, which seems
pretty that's true. He might save it for doing it all in one turn, but
I feel like developing the boards a little better. Maybe offer the trade first.
Yeah, maybe offer the trade and see if you can get it with the Finest Hour.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Finest Hour coming down.
Oh, yeah.
Fell for it. Oh, geez. It's so nasty in these matchups. You're like, oh, they could just have Finest Hour, or we could just trade. I don't know what his hand's like, kind of thing. Yeah.
We see the Valkyrie Enforcer come down to take the shield off, but immediately answered by the torch with the floating mana from cybeRRage.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Dylan did not have the mana to torch it in the same turn. And there comes the
Here it comes. We got the Longhorn Sergeant coming in for the armor
pretty
gain.
Solid, yeah. And especially one nice thing about the Sergeant is if you play Sword of Ikaria, then that's going to make it a pretty unkillable weapon at that point.
That is true. You will gain that armor back from that, even just swing with it. And now we're going to see the biggest Longhorn Sergeant I have ever personally seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the biggest one that's ever been in an Eternal game.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God, Warcry. Oh, it's so big.
Oh, 13 damage.
Oh, and you gain an armor for each Warcry. That's massive. Wow.
Yeah.
The Warcry Sergeant tech really coming in.
And NiHaoDylan just going to elect to honorable Sudoku slam his face into the 13-15-2. You know, he has to respect the 13-15 Longhorn Sergeant. Like,
it's definitely sharpening his sword. He was definitely sharpening his sword for some Sudoku right there.
Those were very quick games, as the Rakano Mirror tends to be, unfortunately. We saw 2 games there. I mean, those are definitely interesting games. I mean, NiHaoDylan, I feel like he did kind of get punished there in the last 2 games by just not having not having cards. I mean, he kept 4 power.
It's really odd whether you want to decide to keep the right amount of power that you need to play the hammer, the 4-cost hammer, or if you want to keep a lower amount just so you don't flood out as hard.
You know, I'm not the biggest Rakano player, but I really feel like in these cases, especially in like a mirror, you need more gas than your opponent.
Definitely.
Like your land's going to come in time, and there is the possibility you get screwed, and that can put you behind in the matchup. But if you don't have any resources and you have all land, you're doing nothing in the mirror. And this is a very quick game. It's not like you can really afford to stumble, but so much in the Rakano mirror. They will just knock you over. It's very easy. You're both playing a deck that scales out of control crazy with all the Warcry triggers going off, making giant units that are very hard to answer. And especially like Crown Watch Paladins coming down as 5/5s, 6/6s. I mean, they're Aegis units. Your Vanquishes cannot hit them.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case, especially if you have to consider these decks. It's really hard for them to get screwed out because they can work off of 2 mana pretty generally. So it's typically better to keep a lower amount because you'll usually draw that power you need eventually. But even if you don't, you can still play your deck. Unlike other decks where you might need to keep a deck with more power, you have more flexibility to keep stuff with more actual effect in your hand.
Yeah, definitely. Like you need substance, and it's unfortunate too because we saw like a lot of the Crown Watch Paladin specifically. Like I keep harping on about that card, but it's just like it's such an important card in the matchup because it's so difficult to remove. You really just can't do anything about it. I mean, you have to find two answers to it, and when you're playing a mirror match like that, like trading resources 2 for 1, it's a really scary situation to be in.
It's rough, especially when those resources have to be so specific. Like you need the Vanquish as well as something else usually.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we saw the Righteous Fury stranded in hand. That was really unfortunate, just not having it.
Well, yeah, not even having a creature at that point to play it on.
Yeah, exactly. Just not having any creature, and part of that's the flooding. I mean, you obviously can't discount like there's no avoiding flooding in the game. You can't really prevent it, but I definitely feel like keeping the 4 power hands might not have been the right decision there.
Yeah, I believe it was definitely one of the major reasons why Dylan ended up losing that. But talking about the decks more specifically, we did not see the Navani in Cyber's deck, even though I really wanted to. We saw it in one of his hands that he redrew away. But again, it's a very interesting build with the Sergeant and the Navani Warsinger having extra effects for putting the Hammer of Might on them. I wonder if in the future we'll see more builds try that, because I think it's actually pretty promising. If Navani doesn't get removed, which, it happens pretty often because it's very threatening, but Warcry for your whole deck, I mean, that's quite the thing, especially, again, the Sergeant. Give yourself 4 armor if you play Sword of Ikaria. In the mirror match, if you have a big Sword of Ikaria, protected by your own units, you just whack off all their units before you can buff them, and you pretty much take control of the whole game right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have the problem with I guess the problem with Navani and why we see a lot of players not use it is just the idea that like it is just a 4/4. There's no protection on it, so it dies to Vanquish in the mirror. It can easily be locked down. Permafrost putting on it, just locks it down. We've got Polymorph to take care of it in the Shimmer Pack decks. There's just so much answer. Any of the black decks obviously can hit it with Death Strikes. It's a really cool card. Like, don't get me wrong, I really love Navani as a card, and I wish we did get to see her played more often. Like, I often look at my 3 of in my collection. I'm like, I wish I could put this in my deck, but it just doesn't. It doesn't seem to do enough. And like I think a lot of players have found that. I remember listening to the Eternal podcast when JPEG was on there, and he mentioned when he first got into the game, he thought Navani was this like awesome tool, and he tried to use it to climb the ladder, and he did. He successfully got all the way up to number 1 with it. But he did decide at the end to pull them out because the card just wasn't performing enough. And I guess that's the issue. We're just seeing a lack of performance on the unit. And it does suck that the Hammer is often like a 2-turn setup too, since they're both 4 mana units, or 4 power units rather.
Yeah, I think optimally, if we're going to see more builds with Navani, we're going to have to see more protects rather than Fine Arts Towers, or some split at least. Like Navani really needs that protect to be able to be effective there.
Yeah, that removal for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. When it comes to decks and climbing the ladder, definitely a good player can climb the ladder with a good amount of decks. Like, for example, I made the Masters playing Cockroaches. Like I started the game, I opened my first few packs, I got 2 Crown possibilities, and I'm like, all right, we're doing this. And I was like, let's just, I didn't know anything about the game, so I was like, I guess we'll put Cockroaches in there. And I ended up making a Cockroach deck.
Yeah, actually, I just built Stone Scar Boomy. Yeah, I'm part of the problem, obviously. Stone Scar when it was still the Boogeyman. And that's how I got to Masters, just playing Stone Scar. I mean, it was just pretty grindy, honestly. You just have a bunch of, get the Umbran Reapers down, blast them out. But Stone Scar's kind of fallen off here, so... we really haven't seen. I honestly don't see it even on the ladder very much, which is quite interesting. I mean, it is still like a fast, effective deck. We're just seeing a lot of it not showing up now. Like all the players seem to have disappeared. That seems like most people have either transitioned to like Rakano, Shimmer Pack, one of the variants.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm thinking that, and there's a lot of room for Rakano decks to move around with all the different tools that Rakano has. Again, we can look at cybeRRage for a lot of that unexplored territory and synergies. There's some problems you can kind of see from that last match with the typical righteous Rakano deck, with all the the righteous fury sometimes is dead, expensive, doesn't really make the unit bigger, so sometimes can just get removed.
All right. Yeah. That about wraps that up. I think the two decks. Really wish you could have seen that Navani though. Still, like even though
sure.
I don't personally play the card, I still really wanted to see it. But hopefully that comes up in a later round. Maybe. I mean, I'm assuming the two players had pretty good records, so maybe we'll see cybeRRage in the finals. Be able to do it.
That's the hope, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But that is going to be all for round 5 of the Eternal Tournament Series. We're going to be coming back to you in just a few minutes with round 6. And believe that's all we got.
Well, there will be the top 8 afterwards, but...
Yeah, you're right.
We'll see about that, yeah.
Yeah, we should have a top 8 stream for y'all. We will take time out of our New Year's plans to make sure that it comes out. Yeah, round 6 should be coming up in just a few minutes, though. We're going to cut to a short break and be right back.
Love you.